Is there undeniable proof that the soul survives death? For centuries, the question of what happens when we die has haunted philosophers, scientists, and ordinary people alike. Is life a fleeting spark, extinguished forever at the moment of death? Or could it be part of a grand cycle, each ending a new beginning? Tonight, we open the sealed door to one of the most controversial investigations in modern science. Hidden in university archives, locked away from the public eye, lies a trove of evidence collected over half a century. Documents, interviews, and medical records that may hold the key to the greatest mystery of all, the reality of reincarnation. Welcome to Episode 1 of the Reincarnation Files, the undeniable proof. In the shadowed corridors of the University of Virginia, a single man set out to challenge the very foundations of Western understanding. Dr. Ian Stevenson, a Canadian-born psychiatrist and professor, was not a mystic nor a devotee of superstition. He was a scientist, a man of facts, rigor, and method. For decades, Stevenson quietly amassed data on one of the most extraordinary phenomena ever observed. Children, often under the age of 5, who spontaneously recalled lives they never lived. Their stories weren't mere fantasies, nor the product of suggestion or cultural myth. They were specific, detailed, and, as Stevenson would discover, verifiable. Stevenson's research began in 1961, and over the next 46 years, he documented more than 2,500 cases from India, Lebanon, Turkey, the United States, and beyond. His methodology was meticulous. To avoid contamination by suggestion or media, he focused only on the very young, children whose memories had not yet been shaped by the world. He interviewed parents, neighbors, and witnesses, cross-referencing every detail with historical records, medical files, and even, at times, autopsy reports. Stevenson's aim was simple: to find the fingerprints of the past in the present, to see if the soul leaves behind a trail. He found that in 1,567 cases, the child's memories could be matched to a real, deceased individual. These were not vague impressions, but specific names, addresses, and events, details impossible for a young child to know. Stevenson's files contain stories of children in rural India who recalled the names of villages miles away, children in Beirut who spoke languages their families never taught them, and, most unsettling of all, children in the United States who described scenes of war and tragedy with chilling accuracy. To understand the gravity of Stevenson's work, we must confront a case that shattered the boundaries between the known and the unknown. A case that unfolded not in the distant East, but in modern America. In 1998, in the heart of Louisiana, a boy named James Leininger was born. He was, by all accounts, a happy and healthy child. But before his second birthday, James began to experience nightmares, violent, recurring dreams of crashing airplanes, fire, and explosions. His parents, Bruce and Andrea, were baffled and deeply disturbed. The dreams were not random. James described them with terrifying clarity. He spoke of being trapped in a burning plane shot down by Japanese fighters, of flying a Corsair aircraft, of serving on a ship called the USS Natoma Bay. At first, his parents dismissed these revelations as childish imagination. But James insisted on details that no one in his family knew: names, places, even the identity of a fellow pilot named Jack Larson. Desperate for answers, Bruce and Andrea began a painstaking investigation. They found that the USS Natoma Bay was not a fictional vessel, but a real aircraft carrier that served in the Pacific during World War II. They tracked down surviving members of its crew. They discovered that there had indeed been a pilot named James M. Houston Jr., who was killed in action near Iwo Jima. Every detail James provided matched the historical record, down to the type of plane, the battle, and the fatal crash. The evidence became overwhelming. James' knowledge was not the product of suggestion or prior exposure. These facts were unknown to his family, buried in military archives, and confirmed only after exhaustive research. Survivors of the Natoma Bay were stunned, as were the Houston family themselves. The boy's nightmares ceased only after he visited the memorial to Houston, as though some part of his past had finally been put to rest. For Dr. Stevenson and his successors, the Leininger case remains one of the most compelling examples of verified past life memory, an American child describing the death of a pilot 6 decades before his own birth. But Stevenson's inquiry did not end with memory. He sought physical evidence, signs that the body, as well as the mind, might carry echoes of the past. In hundreds of cases, Stevenson documented children with birthmarks, scars, or physical anomalies that matched fatal injuries suffered by their purported previous selves. Consider the case of a boy in Turkey who was born with a deep, puckered scar on his chest. As a toddler, he began to describe the life and death of a man in a nearby village who had been shot in the heart during a feud. Stevenson obtained medical records, photographs, and witness statements. The location of the child's birthmark matched exactly the bullet wound described in the autopsy report. In another case, a young girl in India was born with 2 parallel lines on her back, resembling the scars left by a knife. She soon began to speak of a previous life, describing a woman who had been stabbed.